All right, in this video, we're going to take a look at solving equations, quadratic equations, with complex solutions. So, in the quadratic formula, x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. The radicand, the b squared minus 4ac inside the square root, is going to tell us what type of solutions we will have. So in terms of the square root of something, that stuff inside the square root has one of three choices. It could be positive, negative, or 0. So if our discriminant inside that square root, b squared minus 4ac, is positive, it's going to give us two unique real number solutions who will also be the intercepts on the x-axis. If it equals 0, it's going to give us one unique real solution known as a double root. So when we plus or minus the square root of 0, that's not really going to change anything. But in this case, your graph will hit the x-axis at one point, and that'll be your solution. And then the third option is if your discriminant's negative, b squared minus 4ac, so you're taking the square root of a negative, that's going to give us two complex solutions that are conjugates of each other, and that's that plus or minus inside that quadratic formula, where one of them will be a plus, a complex or an imaginary term, the other one would be minus that imaginary term. But here, notice that the graph of this quadratic expression, this quadratic function here, does not cross the x-axis. So if it doesn't cross the x-axis, that means its solutions are complex or imaginary. So x squared minus 2x plus 5 equals 0. Solve it. Exact answers only. This might look a little familiar from the end of the part 1 video. So a little bit of a nightmare revisited. But in any event, it's x is going to equal negative b, so negative negative 2, plus or minus the square root of b squared negative 2 squared. And you might just want to, in terms of not goofing up squaring and negatives and all that, when you're doing the b squared part, you might just want to just drop whatever that sign is. So just make it 2 squared because you'll get the same answer anyway. Minus 4 times a is 1 and c is 5 all over 2 times 1. And negative negative 2 is 2 plus or minus. This inside the square root, this discriminant here is negative 16. So this is going to be two imaginary solutions all over 2 times 1 here. If we graph this equation, it will not cross the x-axis. Hence, its solutions have to be imaginary. The square root of negative 16 is 4i, so it's I times the square root of 16, which is 4. So we have 2 plus or minus 4i all over 2, and then we can simplify this. 2 over 2 is 1, plus or minus 4i over 2 is 2i. So we have x equals 1 plus 2i as a solution, and x equals 1 minus 2i as a solution. Again, example 1e revisited. So but that about does it for our notes here on complex numbers. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.